Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video. There's another paid request, this time from Megan. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, commentaries, lists like this, or rankings, or whatever it may be, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, Megan asked for my top 10 favorite ghost movies, but I wasn't sure if she meant horror movies or films that just have ghost as a motif. So, in order to fix that, I decided to make it a top 15 instead of a top 10, in which I do have about 10 horror, but I also plugged in whether comedies or something that has ghost as a part of it. And let's go backwards this time. I know I'm going to miss stuff. That's the thing about doing a list. I've seen so many movies that there will be even movies I like that I will forget, not because of the movie, but because there's so many movies that's hard to fit into this brain of mine. Number 15, I put Darkness Falls. I do consider it a bit of a ghost story. Also dealing with the Tooth Fairy aspect. I do enjoy the film. I saw it in the theater back in the day. I like that it's a pretty short film. I like the lead actor who sadly passed away. I used to think it was from the sleep apnea thing, but from what I understand there might have been some other stuff to it, which is too bad. Either way, guy was gone way too soon. And I just remember enjoying the idea of, we've seen other stuff stay in the light, and granted, the reason it's so short is because there was other stuff filmed and was cut out, but I do like the end result. I thought it was very tightly paced, moved very quickly, and I just remember being a satisfying piece of entertainment when I saw it in the theater. And sadly, I don't think you can even get the Blu-ray, except maybe overseas, but pretty damn hard to get a Blu-ray of that in the US, which is too bad. But I always enjoyed Darkness Falls. That's number 15. Tied with it is Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon. I always thought it was better than Sixth Sense, because I think Stir of Echoes has a fantastic performance by Kevin Bacon. I liked his character, this blue-collar guy, that during this bit of a seance, not really seance, but there's a little bit of this ritual, his mind is opened up, he starts seeing these visions, pretty much of this girl who's murdered, and trying to find the clues as to what happened to her, and let her soul rest in peace. And you find there's a little bit of mystery about what happened to her. Again, that was a film I always thought was much more effective than The Sixth Sense, which I always thought was overrated. So Stir of Echoes definitely in there. Number 14, the original Poltergeist. Classic. I mean, Craig T. Nelson, Heather O'Rourke, wonderful cast. Whoever directed, whether it's Steven Spielberg, whether it be Tobe Hooper, either way did a great job. Very likable family, relatable, live in suburbia, just a normal, typical family, sadly introduced to this paranormal shenanigans. 'Cause you only moved the headstones! You just moved the headstones! Why? Why? Sorry. I think they heard Craig T. Nelson just screaming that out. I enjoyed special effects. I enjoyed the way the plot furthered with when it got to the paranormal investigation with the scientists. I enjoyed those characters. At least one of the trippiest scenes with the guy that imagines his face being fucking peeled off. Much storier than you think it would. Great score that really fits the film well. Poltergeist is a classic. Definitely the best of all the Poltergeist movies. Much, much better than the remake. Poltergeist is a damn good film. Number 13, Ghostbusters 2. I always thought it was an underrated sequel. I never thought it was a sequel that was as bad as people made it out to be. No, it's nowhere near the first one, but it is a damn good movie. Like, it's a fun sequel. It's flawed. It is flawed. It has some of the same flaws that were in Afterlife, but that gets the pass for some reason. But I still think the cast do their jobs well. They're still fun to hang around with. Like when they're trying to be construction workers and Egon just goes, yo. I like that they try to create new villains, a new storyline with the river of slime and the little baby being used because this character wants to use it to possess it and further its own life. I mean, it's a satisfying moment where you got the Statue of fucking Liberty walking around New York City with a good song, higher and higher, higher. That's a pretty damn satisfying ending. Like the exciting finale. And Bill Murray and Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson, they still work well together. Number 12, Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp. I would say it's a ghost story because of the character Christopher Walken plays, along with others. I mean, maybe it'd be pushing it, but I would consider it a little bit of a ghost story. I think it's one of Johnny Depp's better films, same with Tim Burton. I think the look of the film works well. It's fairly gory at times. Yeah, a nice supporting cast, whether it be Michael Gough from Batman, whether it be, I mentioned Christopher Walken, Christina Ricci. Even Casper Van Dien is alright in it. I like Johnny Depp's character where it's the olden times, but he has this sophisticated investigation tools, kind of like what you would use today, but people look at him as weird trying to utilize that back then. I think it was a good set piece at the end with the windmill on fire, and I think no one really talks about Sleepy Hollow anymore, but I would say that along with Ed Wood and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, that one and Ed Wood are definitely my top 3 favorite Johnny Depp films. I don't know which order, but those are definitely my top 3 favorite Johnny Depp flicks. Number 11, House, from the 80s, starring William Katt. Directed by Steve Miner, who had done Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3. He would go on to do Halloween H2O, Lake Placid. Written by the same guy who would direct The Monster Squad and would go direct Night of the Creeps. Written by that same man. House is a fun film. House is a carnival of laughs and chills. Sorry, that's like something you would see at the back of a VHS. A carnival ride of laughs and chills. I think it does a nice blending of horror and humor. William Katt is an author. He's still getting over the disappearance of his son. And it's pretty much him in this one house and all the shenanigans that goes on. And I like that idea, as simple as it is that you're in this one location, but you have the creativity where this house could do anything. It could make people you love make you think they're monsters. Big monsters in the closet. Portals through the glass, the mirror in the bathroom. Because you're still in this one location, but the creativity allows you the freedom to do whatever you want. And you have this Vietnam backdrop with William Katt's character and this other character played by Richard Mole. You have some very fun old school makeup effects, like the Richard Mole skeleton zombie thing, Vietnam vet at the end. And it's a nice, endearing, heartfelt story about a man getting back in touch with his son. And like the ending is with the music and, William Katt, who is on this TV show, The Greatest American Hero. I would say it's my favorite role of his. William Cat, I think, did a great job, and it's fun, it's entertaining, it's endearing, and it's funny. I remember there was talks of remaking it. Never happened, thankfully, because I don't think it needs one. But I know I got like a pack from Arrow Video with some pretty good features on it. So, if you haven't seen it, you like haunted house type of movies, it's definitely worth a look. Simple title, House, but it works. Ding dong, you're dead. But that's number 11. Do I want to put that 11 or the other one? I'm thinking of this list. But you know what? I'm going to put that... I'll leave it for now, because I do like this other film. Number 10 is 1408. Funny enough, I got the Blu-ray right here. Now, this Blu-ray, not a fan of the cover. The cover is pretty lame. But the reason I got this Blu-ray is because you do need a region-free Blu-ray player that has both cuts of the film. Because when the film came out in theaters, and before I did that, what is this movie? It's based on a Stephen King story. John Cusack, his daughter has died. He is an author. He goes from place to place trying to find hauntings, write about them, but each one he comes across is a dud. So here's a new one. Sam Jackson is the owner of the hotel saying, don't go into it. Don't go in that room. And John is like, oh, you're trying to scare me, whatever. This is all bullshit. Goes in, and for the rest of the film is trapped in that room. And kind of like House, you're trapped in one room. In this case, not the whole house, just this one room, but you have this freedom to do stuff. Now, I enjoyed it because I thought the performances were pretty damn good. The idea is simple but effective. I thought there's some pretty damn decent direction, mood, atmosphere. I like the concept of it. Now, when this came out in theaters, it had one type of ending. When it went to home video, they put in a different type of ending. Spoiler alert, because there's one ending where he lives, there's one ending where he dies. In theaters, there's the ending he lives, but if you get like the regular Blu-ray or DVD, unless you get the 2-disc DVD, you get the one that he dies. The funny thing is, there's a commentary with the director, and the director doesn't buy into the director's cut. So yeah, we're doing a commentary on this so-called director's cut, and then as he's talking, he's like, you know what, I actually like the theatrical ending more. They just wanted to have this thing on there and call it director's cut. I'm sitting there, I'm going, what the fuck? So the director... And then I looked at this. Executive producers. Bob and Harvey Weinstein. Bob and Harvey Weinstein has had a long history of putting their fingers in where it's not belonging at all. I can't prove it, but when the director himself is like, yeah, I actually like the ending and theatrical one more. So I can't blame the director for that. Even he's like, yeah, I wish he would go more detail, but at this time, the Weinsteins were not persona non grata yet. But yeah, I don't know if any other Blu-rays have it, but this is one from overseas again. This is a, what we call German Blu-ray. You do need a region free to play it because it says region B, but it does have both cuts of the film, which is nice. So, just such that was the case, but still a very enjoyable movie. Number 9, Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. I mean, you got Michael Keaton and I was going to say star making. He was a bit of a star before this, but I think this definitely catapulted him even more. And I think this helped him get Batman because it showed, wow, he could be the lead. He could be in a very different type of role. He could work with Tim Burton, and it was a box office hit. That helps the studios say yes. And then Batman 89 catapulted Michael Keaton even more. And I think Michael Keaton has said Beetlejuice is like his favorite performance. Why to this day there's not a documentary on Beetlejuice, I have no fucking idea. You don't even need Al Baldwin. Because if Al Baldwin got there, he'd probably shoot someone at the end. Probably shoot the person interviewing him. But you could talk to Tim Burton. You could talk to Michael Keaton. You could talk to Gina Davis. You can talk to the effects people. The various people who worked on the makeup and the effects and the architecture and the designs of the house and the designs of the environments. There's still a lot of people to talk to. Why there's never been a documentary on Beetlejuice or a true special edition, I never understood. It's creative, has a great score, a score that has been used in a multitude of movie trailers. Ba da 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 da. Dun da 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 na 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 dun da 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 dun da 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 dun da 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 da. You could lose count how many times that trailer's been used for. I mean, that music has been used for movie trailers. Al Baldwin, despite him being a prick, he did a good job. Gina Davis, same thing. Well, she's not a prick, but she did a good job as well. They were a likable couple in bad situation. And I like the creativity of this whole world of the ghosts and what they can do and not do, and the book of the recently deceased, and the waiting room with all the different creatures, like the person with the little head, and again, I love the creativity involved with that. You don't get that nowadays. Instead, you get Stream 5. Number 8, Scrooged. I enjoy Scrooged. I think it's a very enjoyable comedy. Bill Murray's a lot of fun. For the beginning with that crazy commercial. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I don't want to ruin it for you. It's got an endearing heart at the end. Put a little love in your heart. It's a great Christmas movie. There's a lot of fun moments. I can't get these little antlers on the thing. Have you tried Staples? What? Would you stop the goddamn hammering? And the Ghost of Christmas Past, the taxi cab driver fucked with him, going through the door, and then Bill Murray hits it. I always like that trick. Ghost of Christmas Present, she's a spunky little spitfire, beating the shit out of Bill Murray with a toaster. Bobcat Goldthwait as the worker that gets fired and wants a bit of comeuppance upon Bill Murray. The whole movie's a lot of fun. It's my favorite take on the Scrooge storyline. I thought Bill Murray, that was the time when Bill Murray, people now realize he was incognito for years from Hollywood. For about 4 years, which is a lot of time, because Ghostbusters came out, was a huge hit, but there's another film that he was very, very passionate about, and it was called The Razor's Edge, and that did nothing. It got shit on, it was considered boring, it was considered lame, and I think Bill Murray took it hard and Other than a cameo in Little Shop of Horrors, he did nothing. And then his comeback was Scrooged, directed by Richard Donner. And then in '89, you had Ghostbusters 2. I know Bill Murray's not a fan of Scrooged, and he's not a fan of Ghostbusters 2, but I think that's two of his better movies. Number 7, The Frighteners. One of my favorite Peter Jackson films. I love how, I mean, it's dark and it's gruesome storyline, and I like the idea of a guy being a ghost exterminator. I don't know how you call it, but then it's a con job working with the ghosts. It was great to see Michael J. Fox in this type of role, because you could play a bit of humor, but you could play serious stuff and emotional stuff, where he's remembering the death of his wife, and then it's like a kind of a friendly comedy at first, and then becomes like a horror film, and then becomes like I don't want to say an action film, but it's like different elements put together. And funny enough, when you watch The Frighteners, that was Peter Jackson's version of a PG-13 movie. He said, if I knew this was rated R, I really would have made it rated R, and I wish in retrospect he did, to see what that would have been like. But I like the death creature that goes and collects people's souls, and you have this Michael J. Fox going after it, and at times there's action, like there's this character that Michael J. Fox gets these machine guns, shooting up the death, and kind of a, I don't want to say mystery, but kind of, again, the story that got a bit more interesting, because you see who death really is, and that what that relates to, and that things are a little bit more complicated than you thought. It was not as simple as you think it is. It's a good hero's journey for Michael J. Fox's character. Always enjoyed The Frighteners. And sadly, it's a film that came out and bombed. Although, to me, that's the last good Peter Jackson film. His Bad Taste, Meet the Feebles, Dead Alive, and that film. The rest I could forget about. Number 6, The Changeling from 1980 with George C. Scott. Wonderful, subtle ghost story. I say subtle because it's not a whole lot of bells and whistles and big effects. It's George C. Scott, powerful actor, who lost his wife and kid to a horrible accident. He's a guy that deals with music. He's trying to create some new music in this location. And then slowly but surely realizes that there's a ghost amongst the residency. And it is a mystery as to who this is, what happened to it, what were the real circumstances behind this person's death. And you get nice atmosphere, moody direction by Peter Medak, where sadly he would go on to direct Species 2. I mean, this is the same guy that directed that? Some effective moments, like this one bit where this wheelchair, and it sounds silly the way I describe it, but this wheelchair chases this person, but the way the point of view and the way it's directed, same with George C. Scott enters and you see this ball just drop down. It was something that George C. Scott had dropped off a bridge, but as soon as he gets home, it drops and you see that it's still wet. I didn't like subtle scares, subtle bits of creepiness. And like I said, I really got into the story, and George C. Scott was front and center, and he sold it very well. It didn't feel like this was a movie that was beneath him. And I always enjoy The Changeling. Number 5, the remake of House on Haunted Hill. I remember that was a time where you had The Haunting, and I'm like, man, I don't like The Haunting, but this movie, House on the Haunted Hill, I really enjoy. I like that as a bit of a dirtier movie. Like the environment seemed a bit dirtier, seemed a bit more horror feel to it, while The House and The Haunting would go out and try to make it as elegant and beautiful as possible. I'm like, but that doesn't equal scares or creepiness or atmosphere. To me, This was better because it was an insane asylum that's been abandoned, and there are moments where it felt like the director had more of a handle on it being a horror film. And there's some creepy images. I mean, Jeffrey Combs as one of the doctors from back in the day. The cast did a good job. I liked Taye Diggs. I liked Ali Larter, who was in Final Destination 1 and 2. I liked Jeffrey Rush was a lot of fun. Definitely doing an ode to Vincent Price. He was entertaining. Even, what was his name? From Night at the Roxbury. God, I forgot his name. Even he wasn't that bad at it. Chris Kattan, that's actually one of his better roles. He was actually, because what he was saying was relatable. Because you could understand why he was saying, as like you'd kind of think the same way. And it was R-rated, while The Haunting was like PG-13, felt PG. And that can work. Poltergeist worked, but in that case, it didn't. Like, The House on Haunted Hill was a satisfying experience. I remember first seeing that on VHS back in the day. I think it was VHS. Number 4, Ghost. Rest in peace, Patrick Swayze. It's a great love story. Whoopi Goldberg, Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze, they all did wonderful on it. Love the music. The opening is interesting because, like, when the title appears, it feels like a horror film, like scary. But then with the soft music, it reminds you like this romantic. It's funny for a love story and considered, a romantic movie. There are creepy moments in that film. And yeah, while the effects may not hold up the best, the idea of those shadows. I remember as a kid watching those shadow people take like Tony Goldwyn or the other guy and drag them back. That was creepy as fuck. Like, ooh, that was creepier than some horror films at that time. And definitely more potent now that Patrick Swayze has left us. So the ending is a lot more effective. But yeah, Ghost. I forgot it got a Blu-ray recently. I have to pick that up one day. Because I do quite enjoy that film. I keep saying that for each video. No shit. It wouldn't be on my top 15 if I didn't enjoy it. No shit. Number 3, John Carpenter's The Fog. John Carpenter film that did well when it came out, but rarely anyone talks about, which is too bad. I know Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't like it, and other people don't like it, teach their own. I love the way The Fog was shown and filmed. The atmosphere was thick and furious. That's what she said. The cast, you got Tom Atkins, you got Jamie Lee Curtis, you got her mom, Janet Leigh, you got Hal Holbrook. The cast worked well together. Adrienne Barbeau. I really enjoyed her character as the radio DJ. Had the right voice, right tone for it. I love the ghost figures, how they're in the shadows, so you don't see them quite. But then the fog hides them enough to be still a bit creepy. And the score is fantastic. Love the musical score. There was actually, for a bit, I thought I was going to put that as number 1. It was close, because I do like that film. I think it's a bit underrated. It just, to me, well, think of an old-fashioned ghost story with the legend, and it's a 100-year anniversary, and this is what happened to these people back in the day, and they want their revenge, but this case they want their gold, or they want this. Again, an old-fashioned ghost story, The Fog is one of the first that pops up in my head. But number 2, The Shining. Because The Shining is a ghost story. Some would say, is it? Yeah, I would say it is. When it gets to the point where the ghost gets Jack Nicholson out of the fridge, and there's no other way to get out of it, yeah, it's a ghost story. And you see Shelley Duvall seeing weird, fucked up stuff, it's a ghost story. And, I mean, my favorite Stanley Kubrick film, that's art. Like, The Shining is art. The way the music showcasing the landscape and the just despair that you know is going to come in the future. Ba, da, da. Foreboding. Foreboding as fuck. And Jack Nicholson, my favorite performance. Darling, of my life, I'm not going to hurt you. You let me finish my sentence. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in. Okay? I'm going to bash you right the fuck in. Shelley Duvall, people complain about her. To me, she fit the role. I liked her. She seemed like a likable lady. And then with the terror, was believable. Because she was sadly being terrorized by fucking Stanley Kubrick, which she didn't deserve. This is a fucking movie. But yeah, love The Shining. Great direction. Wonderful tracking shots. Beautiful to look at. And number one, I mean, a movie dealing with a ghost, number one would be the original Ghostbusters. Because it's one of my favorite comedies. I can still laugh hilariously. Yes, it's true. This man has no dick. It's still hilarious to me. Still love the characters. Still enjoy the way they utilize the technology, but you still have that blue collar mentality of just being like these exterminators. They do their job in and out. They worry about paying their bills and where they're going to get the money from. Like, it was a cast firing on all cylinders. Great theme, solid music. For its time, good production values. And again, lightning in a bottle chemistry between that cast. Rest in peace, Harold Ramis. Ivan Reitman did a good job with that. Bill Murray, he is wonderful in the film. He worked well with Sigourney Weaver. All the elements worked together, and that's why it became such a big hit. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.